What is up, YouTube? It is the Ville Outdoors here. Today is June 8th of 2020. I am here at one of my local creeks and we're going to be doing some multi-species fishing today. The only thing I don't like about today's conditions is the visibility in the water. We still have some decent visibility, but it's not as clear as it usually is. Usually when I'm just casting around sight fishing, looking for any schools of fish that might be willing to bite, usually my polarized glasses help me spot these fish a little bit easier. But now with the discolored water, it's going to make it a little bit more difficult to find these fish. Box. I actually found that little tiny hook right there. I don't know if you guys can even see that, but I think that is a size 18 hook. And I might try something I haven't done in a while, and that is micro fishing. There's a couple species of shiners I see roaming around the shallows here. I think I might try and catch some of them. Now, with multi-species fishing, the name of the game isn't how big the species is, but it's how many different species you can catch. Doesn't matter how you catch them, but as long as it's on hook and line, it counts. So right now we're at 2 species for the day, bluegill and the smallmouth bass. We're gonna see if we can get that up some more and maybe even travel to another spot to get some more species. So stay tuned and we'll see if we can find some bait here. You guys, how to find and catch bait. Now the first step to finding your bait, to catch the other bait, is to walk into the woods. And by finding the bait, I mean these guys right here. Nice juicy night crawlers. This will save you from having to go to the tackle shop and buying your own night crawlers. So the first thing you want to do to find worms quick and easy is to find any dead or decomposing wood structure. In this case, I found this log right here. You see this big log on the ground? I flipped it over, lots of dead leaves. Dead leaves are a good sign that you might be onto some worms, because the worms love to eat dead decomposing material, especially leaves and wood. And right here, you see how this dirt's tossed up a little bit? That is worm poop, I believe. And that is what the worms are spitting out after they go through and eat the wood and the leaves. Now I'm just combing through here to see if I missed any, because when it's like this, they'll just sit on top of the surface. See, I just pulled another one right there, and there's another one right next to it. So you want to look for dead wood and dead leaves, and I'll show you guys how to catch the minnows here in a second once I finish getting the bait. But that is how you find the bait. Go into the woods, find dead, decomposing wood or leaves, flip them over, stir around the dirt with a stick. Guys, especially after rain, these worms will be right next to the surface. So we had a couple big storms pass through this past week, hence why the water is a little dirty. So sometimes all you need to do is to stir up the surface just a bit and you can find some nice worms. All right guys, we got plenty of worms to get started here. So let's go rig up our worm. I'll show you guys the next step. All right guys, we got our worm rigged up here. So we got a size 18 hook with a little piece of worm on it. Now, if you can't find size 18 hooks in your tackle shop, you can order them online as you can find them as fly hooks that are meant to have flies tied onto them, but they work great for catching these little minnows that hopefully I'm about to show you real quick. So you just want to cut a little sliver of that worm off. You don't want to use the whole thing. That won't work out. You'll just get bit up by a bunch of the little fish and they won't actually hook themselves. So you want to use a small hook. You want a split shot on there as well to keep your bait on the bottom so these fish can get to it easier. And it also helps when you're in a little bit of current. And right now I'm just going to try and locate these fish, because locating them is really the key to catching them. because if you can't locate them, you're gonna have some trouble catching them. All right, so right now what I'm doing is I'm walking along the shallow bank here, and I'm just looking for any little schools of bait fish that these bigger fish can be feeding on, and then I'm gonna set up and start targeting these little bait fish once I find a spot where I can target them. The trick is not to spook them. If you spook them, then it's pretty much game over. There's some right in front of me. I don't know if they'll be big enough to take this bait, but I'm gonna drop it down right in front of me and see what happens. All right guys, we got our first one here. I believe it is a little spot tail shiner. Pretty little guy, but he is perfect bait for any larger species of fish. Nice and silvery, will attract things pretty easily. All right, let's let the little guy go here. I'm not going to use him for bait today, but that is our third species of the day. So again, how I caught that fish is I'm just standing in shallow water, very small hook, size 18, and a very small sliver of night crawler. And if you put in the time to do this, it can save you from having to go buy bait yourself. And the amount of times you buy bait in a year, if you're an avid fisherman like myself, it adds up quite a bit over time. So you save yourself anywhere between 50 and 100 bucks. That's good stuff. So just like that, find a creek, preferably a shallow creek where there's more bait fish than anything else, and not a deep spot. You want a shallower spot to make it easier to keep your bait in one place. So that is probably what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to head to a different spot where I know there's some different species of fish, and I'm going to try and target some of them. All right guys, we made it to the next spot, and as you can see, this creek right here is very muddy, water is high, and it's not real good for wading. So instead of wasting our time fishing this main creek, I'm gonna head across the street to a back creek, and I'm gonna continue our tutorial on how to catch bait like minnows and other bait fish like creek chubs, stuff like that, in order to catch larger game fish. So if you guys want to see that, make sure you stay tuned for the rest of the video, and let's go get them. I'm in a little back creek now, and this is actually one of my preferred places to catch bait in a real thin creek like this, because you get a majority of bait fish species that pile up, no larger fish to steal your bait, and then you can catch the little fish a little bit easier. Now I'm not seeing a whole lot of fish in this hole right now, and there's a trout actually that just ran in here. He's way up under that brush on the other side there, so I can't really get a cast on him. But what I think I might do is head to the other side of the creek, across the road, where I can usually find schools of bait fish, and I'll show you guys how I catch them right there. Fish, whether they go for my bait, I don't know. I don't even know if I have anything left on the hook at this point. That's a better cast right there. That should catch one. That should catch one of the bigger ones at least. Oh, there's one. Let's see what we got here. It is a creek chub. If you get one that size, that is good bait for bass or anything like that. But if you get one bigger than that, That is great bait for some flathead catfish. The flathead catfish love these things. I haven't used them myself for catfish, but, well, flathead catfish at least, but I've cut these guys up for before, bigger ones, and I've caught some good channel catfish on that. So we still have a very tiny sliver of our worm left. I don't know if we'll be able to catch one on that, but we're gonna give it a shot. We'll give it a couple minutes to simmer, and if we can't catch one on that, then we'll put a fresh bait on there. Just caught another nice little creek chub. Good bass size right there. Nice and plump too. These things are a little more hardy than some of your other minnows, so they provide a little bit longer of a lifespan when they're on the end of your hook. They won't die as easy, but there are loads of them right under this down tree right here. So you come here with your bait bucket and a little hook and a little piece of worm like I'm doing, you can catch a lot of these guys real quick. And see, look at that, there's another one. Perfect bait right here. That's how you catch them, fast and easy. Little sliver worm, little hook. That's all you need to do. Creek chubs are good bait for just about any game fish. That's all the worm I'm using right there, that little thing. They're all loaded up under this tree. I'm just flipping it up over there, and they swarm at it instantly. See, look, there's another one. Just like that. That's our third creek chub in just a couple minutes. That's a better size one too. That's almost flathead size right there. We lost our bait though. But that was 3 creek chubs on the same little piece of night crawler. So we're gonna get re-rigged up and get back in there, see if something different pops up. If not, we'll just keep walking upstream. All right guys, I'm gonna show you how long this takes right here. All right, I got my worm rigged up. Let's get my line straightened out. There we go. Split shot is on there. I see the fish right in front of me. You ready? 3, 2, 1. All right, bait is in the water. And wait a moment. And fish on. Is that something different? Hold on. Nope, that's just a creek chub. That one's a little small. I thought that was a eastern black-nosed dace there for a second, which I already have on my species list. But it's just a little creek chub. But that took what? About 10 seconds? And we caught one. And that's already our 4th one out of this hole. So I'm telling you, find a school of creek chubs and you'll have bait for days. Look at that. Well, that was a better one there. That was a real good one. That was probably flathead size. That's a real tiny one. Look at that little guy. The size 18 hook. It's better off as like trout size, I'd say. You can save yourself a lot of money catching your bait this way. You just have to have time. There we go. Another one. I think that's the last one we'll do out of this hole. But this just goes to show how easy it is to catch bait. You don't need to buy live bait, because live bait especially can add up in price. I mean, a thing of night crawlers isn't really that big of a deal couple bucks. But live bait can get into the double digits sometimes depending on how much you need. So having an easy way to catch bait yourself is always a good thing to have. So just thought I'd do this tutorial for you guys, since the normal multi-species fishing, oh, I just got soaked, isn't doing so well. Oh, that feels cold. Water all up my back right now. I'm wearing my Creek Wader 3000 slides right now, which I got from Walmart a couple of years back for like $5. Not the safest thing to be creek wading in, but it works. Helps the dirt go in and not come back out, or come back out. Guys, I think I'm gonna end the video here. The storm that passed through this past week took a couple trees down and blocked a lot of the little creek that I was trying to fish. So we can't really carry on too much because we got some roadblocks in the way, but I hope you guys enjoyed today's tutorial. It didn't start off as a tutorial. We were going after some multi-species, some like smallmouth bass, sunfish, rock bass, fall fish, stuff like that. All your normal creek species, but it ended up being a tutorial for bait fish, finding bait and catching bait for larger game fish. And that is because the creeks that we were trying to fish were kind of not working out for us because of the water clarity, the higher water. The fish just weren't biting as much, so I came back to this little back creek and did some micro fishing and taught you guys how to catch bait yourself. All you need is a little small hook like the one I got right there. Probably can't see that, but that is a size 18 hook. A little split shot to keep your bait down in the water more, and this is real light line to tie on that small hook. This is 2-pound test, so that's really all you need to go out and catch yourself some minnows to live line for some big bass, maybe some pike or pickerel or smallmouth, anything that you really want to do, even catfish. Anything will go after a live minnow. It's really a great multi-species bait for larger fish. So now you guys know how to catch them. So save yourself some money, go catch your bait yourself. All right, and on that note, I'll see you on the next episode of the Ville Outdoors.